Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Anfield Road TV. On tonight's live podcast, we'll be diving into the hugely anticipated encounter of Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Obviously, the early morning kickoff at the Vitality. As I mentioned, I've got a very special guest. He's been on the channel before. You know who he is. But tonight we'll be joined by Craig from Up the Cherries in all departments. Obviously, AFC Bournemouth Fan Channel. Obviously, and please do head over to obviously Craig and Matt. They're extremely close to obviously getting 1K subscribers on YouTube and all the social links. So please, if you do one thing that you can do tonight, get the lads to 1K because they hugely do deserve it as well. And obviously, he's obviously got a lot of content. I'll let him explain it all at the end of the episode so we can plug all the socials and everything. But we'll invite Craig in now. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, Jack. All good. Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. That was good, mate. I like that.
No, yeah. Thank you for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. Obviously, we'll delve into
My pleasure.
tactics from a Bournemouth point of view from Craig. Get his excellent insight in terms of what is anticipated on Saturday. Early. Do you like the early kickoffs, Craig, or not? Yeah.
No, not really. And do you know what? It's absolutely ridiculous what they've done with this game. It's two teams from the country. We had it actually a couple of years back. We went to Huddersfield for a 12:30 kickoff. It was and also we've had Newcastle in the past at this time. So I don't get why they do. Say, for example, if it was Liverpool Everton or us versus Southampton or Palace versus Brentford or someone in London, you could understand that. But not when Liverpool fans are going to have to set off probably
very early,
about 4 o'clock in the morning. Then there's traffic and roadworks as well to contend with, which, to be honest, getting into Bournemouth at the moment isn't necessarily there's loads of roadworks down the Wessex way. So yeah, I think it's unfair, really.
Yeah, 100%, mate, and you're spot on. Like for the modern day football fan, mate, we know how much control and obviously the media organisation, Sky, BT, they have such a grip on all the fans. Sadly, anyway, hopefully it does improve, mate. But obviously, we'll go straight into if anyone's got any questions. Obviously, please do. If you got any questions, please do title your message in the stream tonight. Put a Q at the beginning of it, so I know obviously it's a question to obviously Craig, and I'll ask him direct. But first, Craig, obviously, how have you gauged Bournemouth's progression from the last time we did meet on obviously the 22nd of August? And from a Liverpool perspective, mate, firstly, I'll say before I let you mention, it was a massive. Well, it was a false perception really in terms of Liverpool's season. Obviously that was a high, and then you probably watched as a neutral, mate, Liverpool, and I'll ask you what you think about Liverpool later, mate. But how have you judged the progression off the back of that result going to the season?
Well, as you well know, I was on Radio 606 after that game. Spoke to, and I was invited on there to speak to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. And my view was that Scott Parker had to be sacked after that game. It wasn't so much the defeat, although there's a lot to look at in that defeat as well. It was more what he come out afterwards and said that he needed more money. We had said before the season kicked off, and he actually got Senesi. So I think that's what really annoyed Maxim Deming. But so what he said as well about the young players, we expect more defeats like this. You can't have, when you've got the likes of Jadon Anti-Zamora, who are starting their career, who are just going into the Premier League, who are very, very talented players, and so they've shown for the rest of this season. You can't be saying that. You've got turning around, even if if you feel it inside that maybe it is going to be a push. You don't say that. With regards to that game, and I said it at the time, we sat too deep. We allowed Liverpool to just play in front of us and pick us off at ease. And as good as Liverpool were, to be honest, didn't help ourselves either. So, yeah, I would say it was a very, very disappointing performance. What happened after that, of course, Scott was sacked and Gary took over as interim, and he got the best result. And now people, and I've spoken to Bournemouth fans, and they've met this result, a 0-0 draw against Wolves. But the best thing you can do after a thrashing is to get a clean sheet. And that's what he achieved. He got that clean sheet. It wasn't particularly a great game. Wolves fans would say that themselves as well. It gave us the impetus to then go to Forest from 2-0 down to win 3-2 and to start building on from there. And for a while, it was very, very good. Momentum being picked up. We did get through to around about November time. And, well, it was November. And we had Spurs and then Leeds on the trot. So Spurs at home, Leeds away. That is where my main concern with Gary comes from, because against Spurs, we were 2-0 up. We then defended, went too defensive, lost 3-2. Even worse than that, we did that against Leeds, went too defensive, from 3-1 up, lost 4-3. And there's other times during the season which you could say that, that happened. What really did earn Gary the job was what he'd done before those two games.
Yeah.
But also, I would say 2 wins against, how would you like me to refer to them as? That lot over the park?
Yeah. A great result. We were all made up
Yeah.
with that one, so nice of it.
Yeah. Well, it was 2 great results because we had them in the cup, we had them in the league. I thought, well, the Jammies going to, stay down here during the summer. I was hoping that we was going to get somebody else in the cup. So, but we had that lot. We beaten 4-1 and then beaten 3-0. To be honest, we could have been more clinical and could have thrashed them even more. To be fair, we could have given them a hide ourselves. It could have been 6 in that game.
Yeah.
That was how poor they were. So he got the job. Since after the World Cup break, it's kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit, but it has to pick up again.
Yeah.
The 2 games where I showed real concern. To be honest, if they were going to sack Gary O'Neill, they should have done it after the Brentford game, which was poor. But there was 2 games in particular. The 1-1 draw with Forest at home, which we were in command of. And what did he do? Went too defensive again, conceded the lead. And at Brighton, we were much the better side. And even Brighton fans were saying to us afterwards that, play like that will stay up. 0-0, all over Brighton. He goes defensive for a point and loses it. And I just thought that that's the signs of a manager that, it's just too defensive, doesn't take risks. Eddie Howe used to do that. But it has picked up again. And the Newcastle game recently was very, very good. Also, the game against Arsenal, I wouldn't put that in the same category as the Leeds and the Spurs defeats. I would say that was a game where we went into a 2-0 lead. We were playing out of our skins, and we just were fatigued at the end of it.
Yeah. 100%. Spot on there, mate. You more or less obviously went into hit the nail on the head with me next question in relation to, obviously, I was going to ask you, obviously, with the appointment of Gary O'Neill, how have you felt he's transitioned? But I think you more or less answered that, mate. It's absolutely spot on. Just a quick summary, really, in relation to, for obviously us Liverpool fans, obviously don't watch Bournemouth as often as you, mate. What would you class as philosophy as in relation? You've mentioned sometimes it does go quite attacking wise, or is it a bit of mixed, or how would you describe it?
I would say Bournemouth are a lot better on the attack. So when we are going for the game, and against Newcastle, against the manager that did that so well, and he's doing it so as well, we were outstanding because we did that for the whole 90 minutes. Yes, it was a 1-1 draw, but Newcastle are a good side. They got back just before half time, and it was one of those. It could have gone either way, really, that game. But we did fight tail to try and get the 3 points there. I think his philosophy has probably changed recently. I've had the pleasure of meeting Gary O'Neill, and what he will do is he studies teams, to some extent, where he'll look into exactly how they've played recently, what happens if this particular scenario plays out. The one thing that I want him to do is go too defensively against Liverpool. But then again, he played a back five against Arsenal, and we had both Lerma and Traore out. And to be fair, he did well. But really, I would rather that he plays a 4-4-1-1. And that man that's on the screen there,
big Philip
Philip Billing. Philip Billing. He was outstanding against Arsenal. To be honest, that move shows what a good manager Gary O'Neill can be, because it was pinpoint perfect. Joe Rothwell, who was at Blackburn last year, just straight over to Atara on the right-hand side. Atara, an outstanding signing. Okay, it's a little bit. Some people say it's a bit of a dodgy signing. Lorient, of course, Bill Foley, who is the new owner of AFC Bournemouth.
Yeah, was it 20-odd million and around? One of your big signings?
Yes, yeah, around about that sort of figure, I believe. But of course, Bill Foley's got 30% in Lorient, so he wasn't going to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But that cross in, where I don't think he tried to go for that ball. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. The defenders went with Solanke, and Billing was there to tap it home. It was pinpoint perfect, and that shows what a good manager Gary O'Neill can be. But it's hard to say. It depends. If Lerma and Traore are back, which they should be, I think he should go for a 4-4-1-1 with Hamid Traore just behind Solanke. But if not, wouldn't be surprised if he goes with a back five and the team is identical to that Arsenal team.
Yeah. Just obviously that probably ties us in perfectly, mate. You've segued us absolutely spot on there in terms, obviously, for your key danger men in relation to obviously Saturday. Going into Saturday's fixture, who would you identify as obviously Bournemouth's key danger men? Who do Liverpool need to keep an eye on come what Saturday? And obviously, going off the back of that, who do you feel will give Liverpool the most threat in behind, really?
I think the other one is Dominic Solanke, and he has really picked up his performances again. I think he went a little bit off the ball, but then again, I don't think he had particularly the greatest service after the World Cup, but he has picked it up to a certain point again where he's looking really, really dangerous. Dongo Atara on the right-hand side, since he's been here, is exceptional. Burkina Faso international. He's not really a goal scorer, but to be honest, he should have already had one, and was quite unlucky against Nottingham Forest on his day to grab his first goal. The big one though is Hamid Traore. Now this man was signed. It's a loan, but with an option to buy, and I believe if we want to initiate purchasing him, no, it's all done, it's all sealed. I'm hoping it'll be the same if, touch wood, this doesn't happen, we do go down to the Championship. But he is exceptional. What he did against Manchester City with their defence, he was backing into them, turning round, and he gave them a headache. He was laying balls off to Solanke. Atara was linking up very, very well with him. I think he's a real talent, and I just hope that those are actually. To be honest, I think what we should do is say, right, scrap the loan, just get it done here and now. Get him signed, and let's not wait until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it might still the loan until the end of the season, but yeah, I'd just do it.
Yeah, it's a case of one of them, Craig, where like obviously you've got an excellent, probably obviously improving on the squad player. Like I think Liverpool have had obviously when we signed a player and obviously improved him since Jurgen Klopp's come in. Like you do notice quite a big difference, when a very talented youngster or a much more experienced player does come into your club. Is it just one of them where you analyse his game and week after week and you're like, we've got a very special player in our hands and we need to, as you alluded to, if you can stay in the Premier League, it'd be a massive asset if you can very much secure his full services.
Well, if Sassuolo are watching what he's doing, and they haven't got a clause to stop him joining us, I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot because he is a real talent. I'm going to be honest with you, Jack. Before the January window, I think it would have been incredibly difficult to stay up. Some fans are critical of Gary O'Neill. Some fans don't like him, want him out. I'm one of the, after the Brentford game, I did start to question him, but I think, he deserves a season now. And I think with these players that have been bought in January, I think we've got a good chance of staying up. I don't know, that sounds crazy because we are bottom of the league at the moment. But if you look at, and I did a show on my channel yesterday with Manny and Matt, and we went through, each of the team's run-ins. And in fact, if we don't stay up, then it's all our own fault because I think out of those run-ins, it's probably us and Wolves who have probably got the easiest run-ins of the lot.
Yeah, I was going to just quickly tie into obviously one of the questions I was going to ask you, mate. What would you realistically, in terms as you alluded to, by the looks of it, you've all analysed the fixture list, and what are your expectations going into obviously the Liverpool game is not priority number one. Obviously the big games, it's about as we all, as every Liverpool fan but football fan in general, you identify those type of fixtures where you need to win, and we all know as football fans your home games are very paramount, are quite a large portion of your fixtures against obviously the teams in and around you, predominantly at home, mate, or
yeah, in early April, we have got 3 fixtures on the bounce. Fixtures are West Ham at home, Southampton away, and then Leeds at home. From that run of fixtures, we need picking up at the very, very minimum 7 points if we want to do this. Personally, I think we will. I don't particularly think Leeds that great. I think playing like we have, I think we will pick up that. We might even pick up the whole 9, which will be brilliant. I think the hardest of the 3 games will be West Ham at home, but then again, they're not particularly in a great run of form. I think that Moyes might leave before that point. We've got plenty of opportunities. We've got, after Liverpool, we have got Villa. We seem to have a good record there. We've got Fulham at home. Again, another team who I'm trying to think of the last time they beat us. It was quite a while back. Brighton at home. Again, they're another side who,
you got a
played
good
well
result a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
We seem to have. Well, no, we were 0-0 and we conceded. That was Wolves. That was, mate. That was Wolves. No, that's all right. No problem. But there's plenty of opportunities for us to do this. We have got and we will be across the park for the last game of the season. And personally, I'm hoping that it will be all done and dusted by Palace, which is on the 13th of May. We don't want to go in. We don't want to go to Goodison. On the last day of the season, wanting something. However, I'm sure that all Liverpool fans would be smiling ear to ear and laughing their heads off if we go to Goodison with Everton needing something, and we end up being their last game in the Premier League till you never know.
Yeah, Craig would be getting not just messages off me, but would probably be getting a lot of messages off you chat as well, which would be fantastic, mate. And we'll all be best mates anyway after that.
I'm sure the comment section is, yeah, exactly. I'm sure the comments has been, it's gone crazy. I'm sure, we'll forgive you for the 9-0. We'll do you the ultimate favour.
Hopefully use 9-0 then, mate. That'd be good. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You get beat by you 9-0 and, we'll beat them at their place 9-0.
Yeah, you'll get the aggregate back anyway. They were absolutely dross. And obviously, you've played. You'll find out when you played them, mate. I was very fortunate enough to be at the derby a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely shocking. Like I've seen teams come to Anfield, like everyone really, but it was quite embarrassing. Like the level in which Everton have dropped off over the last couple of years has been, quite frankly, disgraceful. In all honesty, for a team of their supposed stature. They very much fell from quite a distance. But let's get to everyone's.
They could be opening Bramley Dock in the Championship, couldn't they?
Yeah, well and truly. Nice. That man Spurs with the brand new stadiums. It's all right having a nice stadium,
well,
but
exactly.
if you're not in the Premier League, it's all for naught.
I'm probably getting quite popular in here. Just imagine Everton opening their new stadium against who should we go for? Peterborough United or Rotherham, Reading. Let's see. Take your pick.
Depends. We could be here all day. Depends how low we go, mate, in terms of the tier of football. But let's get to everyone's comments. I really do appreciate it, everyone. Obviously, I was just making sure that I do get Craig's inside chat as well. Obviously, apologies if it is lagging from mine or Craig's ends. Obviously, if that is the case, I will be uploading the full HD version back on the channel as well, and there won't be any lag anyway. So, really do appreciate it. But big up John, big up chat as well. I think great question there, Gary. I think more or less from Daz as well. Sorry, I think obviously Craig has more or less alluded to that, mate. Obviously, I've got one or two more last questions, but chat first and foremost. If you've got any questions that you want to ask Craig that potentially I haven't asked tonight, or you think you'd like to see Craig go into a bit more detail before we do shoot off, we've got another 10 minutes anyway. But big up there, Dave. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big up, Panov. Buzzy, everyone's smashing it tonight, everyone. And most importantly, hope you're all well. First and foremost, you survived the snow. I was mentioning to Craig, it's been absolutely snow and a gale in Liverpool, and silly me forgets to bring a coat. Well, that's typical. You know me, Chas. But yeah, I do, Mark. I very much do miss Dom Solanke. But I'm pretty sure, and he thrived in the Championship last season, Craig, didn't he? Was he one of him and Mitrovic, quite the highest goal scorers?
Yeah, Mitrovic got about 10 more than Solanke, but he was outstanding. He was really, really good. He's a talent. He's a talent. And it's how he actually comes back into positions as well. And whereas Mitrovic is more of a target man, Solanke will come back. He'll pass it to Lerma, make things happen. He will be up there as well to poke the ball home, in a good position. But he's not a player who you would say is just out and out target man. He works hard as a striker. There was concerns the season after we went down from the Premier League whether or not he was going to score goals, and I think he found it a little bit more difficult the first season. We were in the Championship but last season he was London. And to be honest, this season, although you couldn't say he's been prolific in the Premier League, he has contributed to so many goals for other people as well. He's not a greedy player. He's not a greedy player at all.
Yeah, 100%, Mason. And obviously that's probably a massive asset why Liverpool, as you alluded to, mate, is pressing from the front. I think the more the modern game does develop in the next 5-10 years, that's what the most coaches want. Obviously, you look at certain strikers that played for Manchester United in the past, and certain midfielders, as we've seen last week, 7-0 up the Reds.
Yes.
Yes. Craig, did you enjoy that?
Just
to segue, Craig, as a neutral fan, did you enjoy watching? Especially, I know you've probably got a lot of Manchester United mates that have been giving it the big uns this season.
I know too. I know too many Man United fans, unfortunately. I know quite a few Liverpool fans, and they were delighted with that. In fact, for that game, the 9-0 thrashing, I actually went up to Anfield with them, which was an interesting one. But I was delighted. The Man United aren't particularly my favourite side in the world. I can say that for obvious reasons. But I think Liverpool showed that they're back really last week, and you are a form now. I think it's been the way I've seen Liverpool's season is after that 9-0 win. I thought, well, Liverpool are going to go from strength to strength. Yes, we did make it easy for you that day. Liverpool were exceptional. Unfortunately, it just hasn't seemed to have happened, and I think teams do through this when quality managers, quality teams do go through a season where there's a little bit of transition. And I think the transition, of course, Sadio Mane's left, and Darwin Núñez has come in, maybe took a little bit of time to get going, but I think, he will be good moving forwards. I think January wasn't particularly very good, was it really, for Liverpool?
No.
And but I think Klopp is going to get it right, and I think he will be next season. Liverpool will be really strong.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. And I'm pretty sure you can see me questions, but you've more or less absolutely hit the nail on the head before I've even asked this. But
I can't actually, but
I was going to say, but what I was doing actually, but I think you more or less mentioned them, mate. Obviously, two final questions. Obviously, we'll quickly wrap up here, mate. It was obviously this is a question you always ask the rival fans. I feel it's important to get better insight other than obviously Liverpool fans. Analysing Liverpool's game as a neutral, where are the biggest deficiencies in Liverpool's game for you this year, and where do Liverpool need to strengthen? From you, mate.
Well, I think going forward, Darwin Núñez, Mo Salah, exceptional. I think at the back, although there has been errors made this season, I think the back line is strong. I think midfield is probably where you've got to look and say maybe things need to change. Bobby Firmino, of course, isn't going to be at the club next season. Has been a great servant to Liverpool. I think Jordan Henderson become a bit slow, but he's a very, very good player still. Milner, has been playing probably too many more games than he should have really at his age. He's a very, very talented, looks after himself, but I think midfield is probably where things do need to change, and that's what surprised me about the game is because our midfield is probably our strength, and it still remains our strength, I would say. Defensively, I think we are a little bit weak, although I would say from set pieces, we've been very poor. That's why we've bought in Jack Stevens, who is on Southampton, believe it or not, has played more games, and he's been very, very good. And that's he's a lot better at stopping the set pieces than Chris Metham was. I think, going forward, of course, we have got Solanke. Probably Kiefer Moore is a bit more of a target man. There's questions whether or not he's a Premier League player, but the midfield, you would say that's a strength for Bournemouth and probably weakness, but it didn't seem that way. But, from watching your games, I think the mid is probably where Klopp, and I'm sure, would you agree with me that
Yeah, well
that's
and
where
truly.
Klopp is going to strengthen?
Yeah, massively. As you alluded to, I think. Well, both me and you, Craig, and everyone in chat will be grey and old and in our care homes at the age of 80, and James Milner is still at the heart of that Liverpool midfield.
Yeah.
But I love Jimmy, but he's, as he said, mate, he's a massive servant, not just for Liverpool, but in terms of Premier League history. Obviously, breaking through as a young 16-year-old with Newcastle, especially in the early stages. I don't know if Bobby Robson was around there, but it was in that period, wasn't it? But just a final question.
Was it Newcastle he started? It's that long ago, because I kept thinking it was Leeds,
Oh, yeah, it
but
was
I might
Leeds.
have got it wrong.
No, it is.
was
It
Leeds.
is Leeds. Yeah, sorry, basically, forgot about that. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I was thinking it's such a long time ago, though. It feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah, we'll see him in like the Premier League or the FA Museum, and it's just going to be a mannequin of James Milner. But this is the final question, mate, just to wrap up. And obviously, in terms, it relates to obviously the ownership, the change of ownership, as you alluded to at the top of the show. But the change of ownership, how has it affected Bournemouth's business in the transfer market? Just gone, and obviously transfer windows to come. Will it give for you Bournemouth more financial clout in relation to obviously keeping you first and foremost in the division or post Premier League, and obviously the bounce back ability? It really, mate. Obviously, I think it was understand it was in excess of £100 million by Bill Foley, and obviously Michael B. Jordan is somehow related in terms of that as well.
He is, yeah. So it was £130 million buyout. Bill Foley runs, of course, the Vegas Golden Knights. He has a number of sports clubs, of course, including Lorient. So they're buying into all these teams. Part of Knice Holdings, which is an investment firm in the US. So he's got some real good business acumen. He is 77 years old. So he brought along who, believe it or not, is part of Andorra FC, who have gone from the bottom league in Spain to, I think it's the second tier. So he's done very, very well. I'm trying to think of who it is that actually owns the group, the actual sport group. It is actually on my channel. You might have to go and watch the video that I did with Maguire, because I do mention it, and I'm trying. There's a player who he did actually started all this, and Nulasaka was on board. And then of course there's Michael B. Jordan, which
bit of a mad
is
one,
what Hollywood dreams. Yeah, honestly, it was crazy when he was at Dean Court onto that pitch against Crystal Palace, and then we got beat. But it was surreal. It's surreal. You think, to answer your question, I think it is going to be an amazing turnaround.
Revolutionary,
from
would you say, mate?
What we're used to. Revolutionary. Yeah. I think, we've never spent as much money during a season as we did in that January window. So there was, so much talk. Yolo was even going to potentially come. That was a weird one, because we went over there for Matthias Viña, who is a left back, and Roma said, "Well, why don't you have a look at Zaniolo?" So they said, "I'd never come to Bournemouth." And why don't you speak to him? Spoke to the agent. Didn't want to come initially, as we expected. And then Zaniolo decided that he fancied it, but of course we'd already made significant signings. We bought in Traore, bought in Natara. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But I think what Bill Foley is going to do, look at his business model at the Vegas Golden Knights. It was a new franchise. It is in the desert, of all things. It's crazy to even think. It's the polar opposite, really. Who brings ice hockey to the middle of the desert? And he's built that team up from there. I think what he is going to look at is the infrastructure. So the training ground has restarted. That was critical for us. We needed to get that done. Once that's completed, because the existing ground is actually around the back of Dean Court. So any fans that, do come down to the ground, see the building that you'll probably walk past, you will actually, that is our training ground on that side. Also, what that will mean is once that's knocked down, we'll probably build, and the ground is on protected land. So it isn't, we sold off during all the struggles, Dean Court to a company called Structure Dean, and they want ridiculous amount of money for it back. Can't build anything apart from a football ground on it because it was given to the club by the Cooper Dean family. Of course, that includes the car park. And what will happen is that we will probably look to build a stadium on the existing car park, knock down the existing Dean Court, and effectively make that the car park around. If Structure Dean don't want to sell it to us, it's just going to be a giant white elephant that they can't do anything with. They can't. If they knocked it down, then it's not going to be worth anything. Their best intentions is to sell it back to the football club. We knock it down, we build a new stadium, and we go from there.
Yeah. Absolutely spot on. Now, obviously, I thought it would be a great question, mate, really, especially when outside point of view, I was really, really interested in that, mate. And just finally, obviously, Craig, could you give us your started 11 who you'd like to see really come on Saturday morning, and obviously just give you a score prediction as well, please, mate?
Yeah, of course. So I think in goal, we would start with Neto. I think I would go with a back, and the back four that I would go with is Zamora on the left-hand side, Senesi Stevens in the centre, probably Adam Smith on the right, and then I would go for four in midfield. The four I would go with is probably Jaden Anthony. I would go with Billin. Probma, if he is fit, although Rothwell, that would probably feel hard done by, and Natara on the right-hand side. And then just behind here, in front, I would put Hamid Traore and, of course, Dominic Solanke up front. So a 4-4-1-1 formation, something that is quite attacking, quite fluid. Tara and Anthony will get forward plenty. So it's very, very fluid. In fact, Zamora and Smith do move forward quite well as well, and that's where we get a lot. That's where we got a lot of success, really. That sort of formation last season. It was only when Scott Parker did the same as well in the Championship. Thinking back to it, the Liverpool game, of course, where you beat us 9-0, did make me think, right, okay, when did he do this before? And he did it in the Championship. He did it against Peterborough. We didn't beat Peterborough last season. Did it against Reading, where we should have been 5-0 up. We was 1-0 up. Decided he was going to go all defensive and, conceded. Reading could have beaten us, and did it against Derby away, and they actually did. But when we play that sort of formation, we're good. And I think the players will thrive on that, especially when you've got Ori and Atara in the side.
Yeah. Absolutely spot on. And I think it'll be a massive barometer, Craig, in terms of the weeks to come, really, especially as we've already spoke about tonight. Obviously, playing Arsenal, playing Liverpool now, especially if you can potentially get goals as well, mate, against Liverpool. You've played well, no, we've been playing shocking this season, but on past seasons, you could analyse that, and especially O'Neill could come away, obviously, even better if you can get points against Liverpool. Come what Saturday, mate. And Liverpool, this season, early kickoffs, we'd be absolutely abysmal.
Though we are hitting you at the wrong time again. And, I think you are on a good run of form. But there is that when Liverpool tend to have a really, really exceptional result like you did against Man United, and you absolutely blew them off the park. I would, some people, some Man United fans that I've spoken to turned around and said they were terrible. I don't think so. I actually think that Liverpool were, again, exceptional. Yeah, Man United probably contributed a little bit to that, but Liverpool were exceptional that day. But there has been the situation where you've had a really, really good result, and then it's kind of fallen off. Because if I'm right in thinking, after you thrashed us 9-0, it wasn't particularly a good result thereafter, was it?
I try and forget
Wasn't
back
it? Was it Forest you got beat by?
Forest of all teams, like, I'll still celebrating
Yeah.
until now anyway. Yeah, and as you allude to there, mate, and even a couple of weeks ago, Real Madrid, we had a good 20 minutes. You probably watched as a neutral or whatnot and went, well, bloody hell, like us all, we're back. But Real Madrid showed their quality, as a lot of teams have, and that's what we've got to be very careful of, mate, as you've alluded to. Obviously, the excellent players that you've got. And as I said, Liverpool, when teams have got Liverpool on a good day, we can very much look very vulnerable. Score prediction, mate. Go with your heart. Doesn't matter if you're on a Liverpool channel. What are you going for, mate? Or what are you hoping for on what Saturday?
Do you know what? I went with my head the other day, and I don't think we're going to get beat. Because two things. Firstly, the Arsenal game. I think if we play like that, we have got a chance of picking up points against anybody. The players have got that in them now. Gary O'Neill's just got to bottle that up, or hopefully he already has bottled that up, so that they can replicate that. But the second thing is getting thrashed 9-0 by a team. You normally want a bit of revenge on that said team. And you look through the history of teams that have done that and who have thrashed, sides. And they tend to get a result against the same team. I believe, if I'm right in remember, of course, Leicester thrashed Southampton 9-0. And then I believe Southampton then got a result against Leicester. Well, actually beat Leicester. I don't think we're going to beat you, but I think we'll get. I think it's going to probably be a 2-2. I think that's with my head, with my heart. Of course, I'd love to see a win. I'd love to win. Maybe a 4-3 like a couple of years back. But yeah, we haven't got Nathan Ake anymore, so you might be you might be safe with that.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely spot on, mate. And obviously, the closing segments of tonight's episodes, everyone else going to be getting created. Obviously, shout out his socials. But I want to say a massive thank you, Craig, obviously, for taking the time out.
Not a problem.
This evening,
my pleasure.
Mate, for joining us. And obviously, please do shout out your socials, Craig. Obviously, what you and Matt have got coming up next couple of weeks and obviously months to come. Please, Missy.
Yeah, no problem. So our channel is called UTCIAD, Up the Cherries in All Departments. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram as well, Facebook as well. I don't actually think you can find it by UTCIAD AFCB, but if you do a search for us, you'll find us somehow. So yeah, do please subscribe. We've got some really good interviews on there with past players. So Steve Cook, Steve Fletcher, ex-chairman as well, Eddie Mitchell, Trevor Watkins. If you want to find out the rags to riches story of AFC Bournemouth, watch that interview with Trevor Watkins. It's a 2-part thing. It's quite long, but you'll find out how we was on our backside and how we're even in the position that we are now, because this club could have died several times. In the coming weeks, our cherry picking, which is our podcast, they are quite long, so it might be a case of sticking it on when you're in the car and listening to it. We're a really friendly channel. We do our free for alls. We'll be doing one on Sunday, 8 o'clock as well. So please, all Liverpool fans, jump on. And we should have our opposition preview show as well coming up in Villa. And if all goes right, it could be potentially with a former band pop star.
Oh, sounds. Yeah, that'll be good.
So yeah, I bet everybody's now looking, which boy band pop star actually, support Aston Villa. To be honest, I was never into boy bands, when I was younger, but actually this lot made some quite good music. I'm hoping it happens. The only boy band I can really stand, to be fair.
Yeah, well, spot on there, mate. Well, as I said, obviously, Craig's channel link is in the description as well on Facebook and YouTube. You will find it in the drop-down description. Obviously, if you are watching live as well, please do, as I said at the top of the show, make sure you do click that link. Get, obviously, Craig and Matt and the lads on their channel. Get them. Should be on 1K, but they'll be getting to 1K very soon and 10K and progression from there as well. But a massive thank you, Craig, for coming on. Obviously, you will be live with Doug later this evening, won't you, miss?
I will be. Yep, we're at 9 o'clock. So Doug is. I'm going on Doug's channel. So yep, we'll be on the Dugout Football Show. And yep, like I say, we will be doing our free for all after the game as well. So please do come and join us. Want to do it audio only, Liverpool fans? It's entirely up to you. We'll be more than happy to have you on.
But yeah, no, spot on, mate. I'll be sharing it on my socials as well, and I'll try my best to pop on for a couple of minutes as well, mate.
Yeah.
Obviously.
No, that'd be amazing, mate. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, no. Obviously, Daz, big up, Daz. I know I could rely on you, mate, but big up everyone. As I said, a massive thank you for Craig. Obviously taking the time out this evening. Obviously, Mark putting the channel in, but Reds and obviously Cherries as well. If you're watching, have a lovely rest of your weekend. Hopefully, we get a very good game first and foremost from both sets of fans anyway. Hopefully for us, it's 3 points, or potentially for Bournemouth as well. What a 3 points that would be in terms of their aspirations of keeping in the Premier League. But for now, Reds and Cherries and Craig, a massive thank you. And Reds and Cherries, have a lovely rest of your night. And as always, you'll never walk alone. Ta-ra.